The music, the laughter, the sweet ever after was ours on the last day of summer.
I kissed you, my one rose. You smiled and the sun rose that day. It was the last day of summer.
How we danced like lovers, how we sang like children, how the world felt warm and still at play.
I'll always remember
That not quite September.
Remember the last day of summer that way. The band played our waltz, dear.
My penchant for schmaltz, dear, was piqued on that last day of summer.
A picnic,
Divine love,
I ate like a swine, love.
so what?
It was the last day of summer. Thursday with my grandson.
Grandpa bought me ice cream.
Then I told him of my life upon the stage.
Rebecca, my father, my mother, my aunt and my brother, together on the last day of summer. All of us were singing, all the world was dancing, dancing like it never would end. How the sun lifts the trees, you were gentle and calm as the breeze. Grass below, leaves above, all the world was in tune and in love.
That evening at Curtain, we'd all say for certain no day was like that last day of summer. With warm clouds above us, the crowd still would love us that night, the last performance of summer. Pray that was a rumor, keep your sense of humor, who could lose all hope on Saturday? What was life? Life was play. Heroes of the world went away. Down the clouds, down the storm. We've been given the chance to perform.
All Jews in Warsaw have 24 hours to leave their homes and report to the Jewish quarter. They will now live within the confines of the square mile reserved exclusively for them.
You will have an ordinary day.
September, clinging to each memory, memory slowly fading, fading like the sun at final day. Years go by, time moves on, any hope for return all but gone. Others came, lives entwined, we made do with what hope we could find.
I'll always remember that not quite September. Remember the last day of summer. That way.
Rebecca, you're daydreaming.
Hardly, Papa. When you haven't seen a real flower in 2 years, what's left to dream about?
A chocolate bar.
A hot water bottle.
Oh, a decent cigarette.
Mama, she is going to come back, isn't she, Papa?
Well, we will keep hoping and praying and continue with our rehearsal. Now, why don't you and Uncle Max try your Passover scene?
Because Uncle Max is too cold. Daniel, how do you expect us to carry on rehearsing in this hellhole without heat? A decent stage, proper costumes.
Well, we may have lost our theatre, but not our audience.
In case you haven't noticed, we're losing them too.
Poor Papa, in a ghetto full of misery, only you come down with such a bad case of optimism.
Well, I hope it's contagious. Why don't we start with your duet with Jacob? Yes? Come.
But when do Rebecca and I get to practice our kiss?
That's the spirit, Jacob. Good man. Come.
Father, is that my tablecloth?
Now it's Caesar's toga.
Not yet, it isn't.
Sarah, what happened to my piano lid?
Consigned to the flames. Along with Don Quixote's windmill and Dracula's coffin. To keep us from freezing to death.
It's a bloody icebox in here.
You've got some nerve kvetching about the cold in a fur coat you earned God knows how.
No, no. We are trying to rehearse. Do you mind?
No. What I mind is playing a secondary role unworthy of my talents.
Yours and mine. I triumphed as Tevye the milkman.
My Macbeth moved Ava Brown to tears.
Now there's a woman with taste.
I was going to be a star.
Oh, yes, but in here we are all stars.
Yes, thank you so much. And
I will wait for you, dare for you, cry for you, care for you, long to be there for you, dawn until dawn.
Yes.
Let me sing for you, sigh for you, live for you, die for you, love of my dreams. Now what?
Oh my God!
He's got scarred!
Hide me! No! I'm a resistance fighter! Please!
well, did they get a good look at you?
No!
Oh, for God's sake, Stanley, you know they'll find him and then it will be our necks!
Give me your gun.
What the hell?
Now. Come here. You stand there and you do nothing.
Stay where you are! Verschwindet! Auf das Rechte runter! Herunter! Herunter!
Willkommen, Captain Flick.
Anyone who moves will be shot!
Oh, thank God. We're all too scared to move.
Where is he?
Who? God. Well, nobody knows. But I will tell you the latest rumor. Not in Warsaw.
So clever, you people, especially you, Daniel Warszawski.
Captain Beck, I am only a humble actor trying to keep my company, what's left of them, alive.
Then don't be a fool. Now, a resistance fighter is hiding somewhere in this vicinity.
Not here, Captain.
Here's not Warszawski.
Yes. Well, there are no longer enough Warszawskis to play all the roles. Something about the Third Reich doesn't agree with our health.
You get up, old man! When I was a boy, only the bankers had such fancy walking sticks. The Germans went hungry, the bankers went to the synagogues.
Please, Captain. Sarah Bernhardt gave that to my father after she saw his Hamlet.
Adolf? Warshawski, a Jew called Adolf.
There was a time I was proud to have that name.
Thank you, Captain. Now Father's cane is the perfect size for Caesar's imperial scepter in my new play. Masada. You know, you Nazis will love it. It's got singing, dancing, and all the Jews die in the end. Captain Bick, you know, another week has gone by since my wife disappeared. You said that
inquiries take time. Money.
We gave you our money. We have nothing left.
What about that fur coat?
I'm not a Warshawski. But it's got nothing to do with me. They've got silver candlesticks. They belong to Mama.
Hand them over.
I don't know why I forgot to. No.
Fräulein Rebecca. It pains me to see you cry. Let's be friends.
Hey!
Now, where did you get this gun, huh?
Wait! Jacob acted on his own, Captain!
Who are you?
Well, he is one of the new actors for Masada.
Don't remember his face.
Yes, well, he's only just auditioned for me.
On your knees.
No!
Sing. Das Deutschlandlied. Ja.
Deutschland, Deutschland, über alles in der Welt, wenn steht zu Schutz und Trutz, bruderlich zusammenhält, von dem Mast bis an den Weg.
Enough! Nennt ihn.
No,
You say he acted on his own, yeah? Well, this time I will believe you. But if I find out that you're lying to me, I will put the bullet in you myself. We'll see how he holds up under interrogation.
I have no singer to replace Jacob.
Yeah, you do. Him. The coat.
Please, no! Ah!
Heil Hitler!
Are they going to kill Jacob?
Well, I don't know, son. But first I have to make sure that no one else gets hurt. You can sing.
I was a choir boy.
Well, you will have to learn Jacob's part quickly.
I can't stay here. When Blick finds out
Jacob won't betray us. After we open, then you can go home to your family.
I don't have a family. I just have a brother who is missing. We both went under the wall this morning. I have to find my brother. He won't survive without me.
Well, and neither will we. If you are not on stage next week, when the curtain goes up, Blick will put two and two together, and we will all be dead. Leon, get him a script. We will start with your first scene. You play Caesar's favorite general. Rebecca plays the daughter of a Jewish rebel.
Are you serious?
A romance between a Roman general and the daughter of a Jewish rebel. Just what this ghetto needs.
My daughter thinks there's no place for love in a world like this.
It's time we stopped pretending.
We have a show to open.
Singing? Dancing? In a graveyard? When the resistance needs every man, woman, and child we can get?
I want to join the resistance.
This boy has more guts than any of you.
What we do is a form of resisting, too.
Resisting the truth.
No. In here, singing is freedom. Dancing is freedom.
Freedom? To what? Bury your heads in the sand? What is going on out there you wouldn't want to imagine?
Someone's got to help us.
Who?
Roosevelt?
Churchill!
If you believe that, you are already dead.
He's right. We're just playing into Blick's hands, keeping the ghetto entertained while everyone starves to death.
Well, we can still feed their souls.
For God's sake, Papa.
With hope.
We are never going to get out of here! Who cares about love? Who cares about hope?
They do. They come famished. They come frightened. They've been shaken and upset over what they risked to get here, passing sights they can't forget. And the simple act of gathering is their greatest gamble yet. They come to escape, they come to forget. It's here they start imagining a sun that doesn't set, an evening at the ball, a crystal chandelier, or Paris in the fall, or living with no fear. And by helping them imagine all of life as it should be, they're not here anymore, they are free. And not coincidentally, so are we.
You think we'll escape, you think we'll forget, you think that by imagining the sun will never set. But whatever you imagine, no Messiah's turned up yet. Tell me, why should we try? Tell me, please.
Because it's better to die upright than to live life on your knees. Imagine this, a shining statue in a bay. Imagine this, she's got a torch to guide the way. As your boat docks in the harbor, you see diamonds in the sand. You hear welcome music playing. Hey, it's Benny Goodman's band. But you never need to leave here to have freedom close at hand. Just close your eyes.
Papa, stop it.
And it will start.
You're just filling his head with nonsense.
It's in your mind.
Why are you doing this?
It's in your heart. Imagine this.
A place where all of us are free.
Imagine this.
Our family's home where we should be.
There is no guaranteeing
Till believing is seeing, and you love the things you see.
I can't see.
Imagine you decide what's true. And watch a sky of ash turn blue. And the dream that's before you will release and restore you to a place that's safe and new.
Our people push to such extremes.
Depend on us to shape their dreams. So if we can imagine, maybe they will imagine all is not the way it seems. Imagine this, love and love is all you know. Imagine hard enough and soon it will be so. There's more to life than what you see. Imagine and you'll be
Roman candles, not gunshots, no more hating, or crying, or darkness, or dying. Imagine you decide what's true.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the opening night of Masada. Now, there are those who say that Hitler will win, that it's all through for us. Well, now, there are those who said the same thing 2,000 years ago on a mountain called Masada. Rome was determined to crush the Jewish spirit. Our people were marked for destruction. Their story is our story. Now, please, we have no sets. Our costumes, our patchwork. But please, when the curtain rises, see more than bare floorboards and hungry actors. Imagine. I will play Eleazar, leader of the Jewish rebels. I am fighting for freedom and for my daughter, Tamar.
We will fulfill our destiny, one day to be free.
Citizens of Jerusalem, Caesar's favorite general honors us with a visit. You will cheer him, or you will die like this Jew who failed to bow to me.
Please, he's just a boy!
Our son meant no harm.
We'll have our dream of paradise, tasting the fruits of sacrifice. We'll have peace in our own home, far from the brutal rule of Rome.
Mighty general, are you a Roman or a barbarian?
You should have more respect for a general.
Will you command my respect or earn it?
What's your name?
What does that matter when a child's life is at stake?
Free him. What now? General Silva, Caesar awaits you in Rome. Prepare to die! Mighty Caesar, I bring news. Jerusalem's now aflame, and those fractious, lawless Jews have only themselves to blame. Their refusal to submit has now got out of hand. They forgot that they were not the chosen of this land. So as you'd command, it is fallen, it is burning. We have shown no signs of pity. With a vengeful unseen God nowhere to save them. They are dying, they're learning. It is Rome who rule their city. They will feel the lash of truth as we enslave them.
We're getting closer. Closer to death! Did you think that by fleeing across the desert, we'd escape Caesar's wrath? They say there's a fortress at the top of this mountain. And I say you're a madman! You and your rebels! I told you to pacify Rome!
Yes, like all you temple priests.
Why should my son bow and scream or even be crucified?
God will punish us all! No. This is the fortress that we have prayed for.
This is our chance for us to make a new Jerusalem.
This is our family's time to go about our lives.
We've been delivered from the darkness of the past into the light God means to last.
And so now are we.
Finally to be free.
Adam, you're not on stage until the next scene.
Singing about freedom won't make them free. We need to resist, Daniel. Turn this ghetto into a fortress.
Do you know why I wrote this play?
I have no idea.
Masada is the Hebrew word for fortress. I'm on your side, Adam. This is my act of resistance.
Up here we're free to sow the land and reap a harvest. Home safe and free to drink the water and the wine. Now we arrive atop this mountain, our Masada. This is God's gift, His grand design.
Come! Tamar, celebrate! Those Roman butchers will never find us here.
Surely they're not all butchers.
After what we've been through, how could you think otherwise?
What about General Silva? He spared your son.
He's still a Roman.
He's a man of compassion.
Did the Roman who killed your mother show any compassion?
When he looked in my eyes, could he see what I felt? Could he feel my heart racing? What my words failed to say, did my touch let him know? How could he be the one? How could this be the dream that my mind won't stop chasing? How could his be the face I can never let go? Could I wait for you, dare for you, cry for you, care for you, long to be there for you, dawn until dawn? Could I sing for you, sigh for you, live for you, die for you, love of my dreams? Why dream on?
Caesar!
Hail Caesar! Welcome back to Rome, General Silva. Sit down, relax, have a grape. And you can have Salome too. Enjoy her, General.
Caesar is most generous. But no, thank you.
Be grateful.
But Caesar...
And be silent. According to my magistrate in Jerusalem, you attracted the attention of some dark-eyed beauty, then rode off in your chariot, leaving Rufus to do the dirty work.
Mighty Emperor, were it not for your orders to return to Rome, I would have gladly remained in Jerusalem.
Jerusalem is no more. Rufus burned it to the ground.
What? Are there no survivors?
Not for long.
But Caesar, are we Romans or barbarians?
I am a god, and I will not compete with theirs. Masada will fall. I want that rebel leader Eleazar in chains. And you will parade him through the streets of Rome as a lesson to all who would defy me.
Caesar, please...
Go back to Judea, or I will crush you like a grape. The choice is yours.
When I looked in her eyes, if I only had known it would be for the last time, I'd have spoken my heart when she gave me that rose. Oh, I've clung to this dream, to this moment in time, unexplored, unexpected. Only fools look for love in a place no love grows.
Free to till the fields, still free to reap the harvest, free to drink the wine.
This is our dream of paradise.
These are the fruits
The fruits of sacrifice, Masada still our home, far from the brutal rule of Rome. See? You wouldn't listen to me or God. Maybe you'll listen to a Roman army.
So many soldiers.
An entire legion.
There's only one way to save ourselves. Surrender and beg for mercy.
They've surrounded the mountain.
If you want to live, follow me. No! Did we come so far? Only to grovel again at a tyrant's feet.
I stand with you, Eleazar.
Me too.
We will arm ourselves and die like heroes. You mean die like dogs?
He's right. They'll show us no mercy, not even to our son.
Eleazar! Behold the 10th Legion of Rome! There are 10,000 of us, and only a handful of you.
Open the gates.
No, Father. There's no need to fight to the death. Fight to survive! Let them try to attack. The mountain path is too steep and narrow for a Roman army. Up here, we have all the food, water, and weapons we need to resist. For us, 3,000 years of wandering and of waiting have come to this. Our city and our people left for dead. We are the last. No legacy and no one to remember. Yet here we found on this sacred ground new life.
Surrender, and your lives will be spared. Fight and you die. I will have your answer now.
Masada, haven of the desert, you are home and fortress, you are sword and shield, your beauty and your endless bounty every day restores us, so we'll never yield. Masada, they will know resistance, that you stand for freedom, and we stand with you.
We'll beg no more.
No more will kneel. Our battered fleet no more beneath the tyrant's heel. To let one man be no more than another slave would do dishonor to the blessings that you gave.
Masada, Masada,
Masada, what a step from heaven. We will live your lesson, and our hearts will soar. Masada, by the crowns that shade you, and the blood that made you, we will weep no more. We'll weep no more. Let us weep no more.
You're hurt. It's nothing, Pompey. It's the tip of an arrow. Oh, sorry. Every time I lead my soldiers up that damn mountain path, the rebels use us for target practice. I'm losing the confidence of my men.
It's envy. They've been in this desert for months. Salome, fetch wine for the general, please. Think about it. You're the only man in this entire legion with a slave girl.
Let them think what they want. There's only one woman I'll ever...
Go on, please, and don't spare any details.
Never mind.
All right, far be it from me, your loyal servant, to pry into your personal affairs. I'd never ask, for example, what her name is.
I don't even know her name. Besides, she's dead. If not, it would be a miracle.
They do happen, General. Haven't you heard about that Jew who rose from the dead?
Pompey! What is this Christian talk?
General Silva, you have a visitor.
Ah, Rufus! The man who burned down Jerusalem. And got promoted. Now I'm Caesar's tribune in Judea. Ooh! Now what brings you to Masada? 16 tons of food per day. 6,000 gallons of water. 400 camel loads across the desert is what it costs Caesar to keep your army supplied. Not to mention horses, weapons, and entertainment.
I'll give you one last chance. First, you will build a road that leads to the top of Masada. Then you will haul a battering ram up to the fortress gates. You will smash them to smithereens, then do the same to those Jews.
Caesar wants them all dead, slaughtered, as if they never existed. When the moon is full, I shall return to escort you back to Rome, in triumph or in leg irons. Mighty Caesar, I have bled for you, your blood is my reward. So you can call yourself a god, but I will never call you lord. Where is the dream of one republic and the peace for which it stands? It burns to ashes like the innocent whose blood is on our hands. Hail! I now salute you with a hail. You've shown how evil will prevail, and so you force me from my knees to bid you hail. Thus every tyrant earns his hail. Thus in my victory do I fail.
the final nesting there. How I dared to believe we'd be forces for good and a brave new beginning, with ideals to uphold and a world we might save. What a fool, how naive to have not understood what is lost by my winning. How at once I am old and no more than a slave.
Almighty Caesar, we will follow where you lead us, mighty Lord.
This coat of armor, now my chain.
Honor may we die and welcome death as our reward.
These leather bands hold me like rain.
And by each sword
like golden shield and hair, the sting of death at bay.
live and die.
Can't keep my heart from seeing life a different way. For what was once a cursed race has taken on a human face, a face so beautiful and strange, it can do nothing but to change me. Where are you now, now my desert rose? Do you know how you've captured me? With those dark eyes that burned right through me, those deep, dark eyes that somehow knew me.
My beloved, my beautiful man, there's no way I could possibly love you.
Jasmine smell of your hair.
There is your world and mine, there is no you and me.
Breathe you in, let me make you part of me.
I could say I'll forget all the warmth in your eyes, all you said without speaking.
I hear the song of your
But
sigh.
my heart speaks the truth, and the truth sets me free.
More enchanting than the sea. I will wait for you, dare for you, cry for you, care for you, long to be there for you, dawn until dawn. Let me sing for you, sigh for you, live for you, die for you, love of my dreams. Now our dream is gone. You wretched fool, she's dead and gone. Only my torment living on until the might of Rome destroys all hope by the road. The dream of love can take while Roman chains me. I try to raise my cursed hand and say goodbye to no avail. It only gestures.
Almighty Caesar, we will follow where you lead us, singing
Don't panic, please, please stay in your seats.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, look, do as he says.
We must have silence. We won't know if it's to narrate unless we listen.
Oh, they must have repaired the track. It's only a train, thank God.
It's a train.
Yes, it's just a power failure, Adam. Yes.
Daniel, you don't understand.
Where are you going?
Adam?
I can't stay any longer.
Go after him.
Yes.
As we rejoin Masada, several months have passed. The road leading from the Roman camp to the top of Masada is now finished. Tomorrow, the battering ram will be at the fortress gates. Aaron has gone down the mountain to try to set fire to it. Back on the top of Masada, Naomi awaits his safe return.
Eleazar! Why isn't Aaron with you?
Where's father?
Where is he?
Captured.
No!
Far, far away, but beckoning to me, is a single olive tree upon a hill above a battle. Day after day, men pass, but do not see that this lonely tree is one of peace,
just like the song of a dove. I am the dove whose dream has come to be, to find that olive tree and take a branch to bear a witness, so they may know by the beating of my wings that of all God's things there is no sword that could be stronger than love.
Adam, where are you going?
Go back inside.
You're leaving? In the middle of a performance after my papa lied to protect you?
No, that's not. I am doing what I should have done a week ago.
But if Blick finds out Papa was harboring a resistance fighter, my whole family will die.
Do you hear that? It's happening sooner than I thought.
What are you talking
But
about?
there isn't time. You wouldn't believe me even if I told you. Oh. Oh, no, no! Ashwinya!
It's your brother.
They've killed him. They've killed my brother. I have no one left.
Searching the sky, I will sing as I fly, bringing word that too many men ignore. Each limb of the tree needs to grow and grow free, free as the dove is to soar. Far from the reaches of war, a place to call my home, as safe as it can be. I dream that I may find it in that tree.
Tamar! They're going to crucify my father! If he dies, then so does their general! I am the dove who finds her distant hill, blood red and deathly still. But for the smoke left from the battle, no eye so young should see the things I see. And my dream has now come to be a wooden cross, a brutal death stroke to love. What has the world left to learn? How can I ever return? What's become of my home? I will never forget, and the memory will live till the last sun has set. So now on I will fly to defend what I love. I am the
Masada falls at daybreak. May the gods be with me.
Gods? What do you need them for? You've got 10,000 bloodthirsty soldiers just itching to break down those fortress gates. If you ask me, it's those poor people up on that mountain who deserve some sort of divine intervention.
You know my orders. Kill them all.
Even the women and the children.
Caesar wants Jewish blood.
They're human beings, General.
Do you think I don't know that? The only woman I ever loved was from Jerusalem.
And would you kill her on Caesar's orders?
I already told you she's dead. There's nothing we can do except pray for a miracle.
Well, that's not such a bad idea.
You pray. I'll drink.
please, help him to find the courage that he needs. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Ha!
Such a moving display of faith.
Rufus, I wasn't expecting you back until tomorrow.
Yes, and on the eve of General Silver's triumph. Imagine my surprise to find his devoted servant in such a compromising position. Guards!
What's going on? What are you doing here?
I demand this slave be crucified.
On what grounds?
Isn't that the punishment Caesar demands? The punishment every Christian deserves?
Pompey, deny it. Say you're not a Christian. Just say it. Please.
I can't. I won't. I am a Christian.
Well, what are you waiting for?
I will take him back to Rome. Caesar will decide his fate. Take him away.
Hail Caesar!
Gone. You cannot save him. Now he's gone. The wheels of Rome go grinding on, and soon you'll find it's either grind or be ground under. How can I rise above them if I become one of them? I ask the gods to grant me freedom from this curse to no avail. They only answer. You!
General Silver?
Tell me your name.
Tamar.
Tamar.
I thought you were in Rome.
I thought you were dead. I was lost, wandering in a desert, when I dreamed your voice, singing, "Love, I am near." And suddenly you had found me. Now you're here, closer than I dreamed you, and I wake in love. But although you're in reach, our worlds keep us apart. Though I dream only you, how can I hope to hold you when friend and foe have told you the same forbidding words that tear my heart? Far from here, I'd be your oasis. You would be my dove. Far from here, far from now, if we ran, if we'd flee, then somehow we'd be free to love.
Please don't look at me this way. Please don't say these things you say. Either kill me now or set me free. You may think you've come awake, but your dream is a mistake. Now before your dream takes hold of me, there you stand, all that I imagine. But can I trust my heart? Far from here, far from now, could it all really be simply you, simply me?
In my eyes, you're the only woman.
You're the only man.
Caught on two different sides, divided by a wall, in the eye of a storm.
Yet like a desert flower, we'll take this storm's great power and soon our love will tower over all.
Now, my love, now my world is with you, and I love this world. Let me take you in my arms.
Let me drink you with my eyes.
Let me drown inside your flowing hair. Let the fever of one kiss melt away your dreams, but this, our two hearts forever one somewhere. Far from here, far from now, we will run, we will flee, and somehow we'll be free to
Friends, during the interval of your play, I have good news for you to contemplate. Your troubles are at an end. You may leave the ghetto tomorrow morning. A new life awaits you in the East, where we Germans have built a beautiful camp. With birds, trees, flowers. You will report to the Unflagplatz at 0700 hours tomorrow morning. And as a bonus, those who choose to go will each receive 1 loaf of bread and a kilo of jam. You will each be allowed to bring 1 suitcase. Be sure to bring all valuables, including gold and silver, jewelry, watches, eyeglasses, leather shoes, furs, and candles.
Bread!
Bread! What a beautiful word!
Is it true we can leave the ghetto?
Yes, Father, we're going to a camp.
What kind of a camp?
Mein Camp.
You see? Now, all it takes is 1 tiny crumb of hope.
A crumb? He said a whole loaf!
Maybe when we get to the camp, we'll find Mama.
You really think so?
I bet she's been waiting for us all along.
I'll get some music box.
Well, well. Look who got her precious coat back.
I'm just doing my best to survive. Like the rest of you.
No, I'm sure you had to beg for it. On your knees.
Sarah.
No.
Lola, how could you?
Don't you look at me like that. I don't have a resistance fighter to keep me warm.
That coat won't save you. It will end up the same place this one did. It turned up for sale on the other side of the ghetto wall.
For sale?
It belonged to my father. He was wearing it the day he disappeared. They get lots of used clothes lately from labor camps just like the one Blick's talking about. It's 50 miles from Warsaw in a village called Treblinka. The trains will go there filled with people, and they will come back filled with their shoes, their glasses, hats, coats.
I don't understand.
No, you mean you don't want to?
I'm going on that train tomorrow to find my mother.
When you get there, look up and you'll see her in a sky full of ashes. Mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers.
Can I take this to the camp? What's wrong? Won't Mama be there?
Daniel.
Well, of course she will. And when we get there, guess where we're all going to go?
Tell me! Tell me!
Over the wall, not far at all, there is a fairground that's open from springtime to fall, with balloons and a penny arcade, and the sound of a waltz from a merry-go-round. But soaring above, casting a spell, you see the magical sight of a sky carousel.
And the eyes of the children go wide as they rise.
And the ride seems to grow on its way to the skies.
And the sun gives the treetops a glow. It's a sight those of us down below never know.
And so ride with me, and we'll be free to sail the evening air.
And we'll climb so high, we'll wonder why we ever had a care.
From a world of fear we'll disappear, where we'll never hear the crowd.
Like a dream comes true, you're free when you reach out to touch a cloud. Come along and ride, I'll be your guide. You're safe inside my arm. Till your fear has lost, just hold me fast. You'll never come to harm. And before it ends, unlikely friends will have lived to sing out loud. High above the rafters, this once we found our way to touch a
And we'll fly there yet. Side by side, we'll get a chance
to touch a cloud.
Daniel Wachowski.
Papa!
Did you think that you could hide him in plain sight? Huh? Make a fool out of me!
Captain Blake, please.
Don't worry, Fräulein. I will take special care of you.
Don't touch her!
Even the resistance fighter finds you hard to resist. Give her your coat.
But we made a deal!
Most informants make themselves less conspicuous.
You betrayed us for a clout!
No!
Nehmt die Leiche fort! Who's next, huh? 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 There are enough bullets for each of you.
It's hardly a threat, Captain. They know what's waiting for them. I told them about Treblinka.
No!
Perhaps there's another choice. We could help each other.
Help each other?
Yeah. You could all leave tomorrow. Not for Treblinka, for Zurich. I will provide travel documents that guarantee your immunity as Jews of proven merit.
Sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Captain.
Thank you.
In exchange for what?
Finish your play.
I don't understand.
We mustn't disappoint your audience or cause alarm.
You mean arouse their suspicions? Not when you need their full cooperation tomorrow morning.
I suggest you find a way to control your company while there's still time to save their lives. If your performance goes well tonight, then tomorrow morning you will have your freedom. And your audience will have their bread and jam. You have until the end of the interval to decide.
We must finish the play! Of course we finish the play! If we don't, he'll kill us.
I can't go out there and act.
So what else is new?
We're getting out of here.
Yes.
Huh?
We're getting passports.
To Switzerland.
Freedom!
Chocolate.
Don't you see that makes us all collaborators?
No. No, survivors.
By trusting a Nazi, you think we stand a better chance than Lola?
What, so our chances are 1,000,000 to 1 against us? Some things never change.
Father, talk to him.
You can't save the world, Daniel. But you can save your children.
Father Blick is asking us to betray every single person in this ghetto. What right do we have to survive when the rest of them will all perish?
There's nothing we can do.
Daniel, we can resist.
With what? Our bare hands? They have guns and tanks. We have nothing.
Except the truth. Those people are going to get on those trains tomorrow, believing a lie.
So we should all die too. If you were on the Titanic, you wouldn't head for a lifeboat.
Sarah.
That's what this is. Daniel, it's our lifeboat. Let's get in it while we have the chance.
Sarah, please.
Please.
Papa, what are we going to do?
What are we going to do, Papa? What are we going to do? As if there were some answer that was either wrong or right. What are we going to do? She asks me, what am I going to say? Where's the Deus Ex Machina to deliver us all at the end of the play? Just tell him one of your jokes, Papa, that always buys us some time. Be sure it's extra funny, and for God's sakes, make it last. Do what you always do, Papa, make the bad men go away. You'll know the joke that will save us. You're in control of the play. Okay. There's this Nazi in the desert, and he comes upon a Jew, and he begs the Jew for water, just one sip to see him through. But the Jew cannot oblige him, for his well has since run dry. But instead he tells the Nazi, I've this nectar you can buy. Jewish fool, the Nazi bellows, always putting money first. I don't need a bloody necktie, I am dying here of thirst. Very well, the Jew advises, head that way, not 2 hours east. They'll find the perfect refuge, there's a place to drink and feast. After several hours, the Nazi crawls back panting on his knees. Your brother's restaurant has a dress code. Can I buy that necktie, please? But what's the point of this spiel, Papa? How will this do any good? Perhaps it'll serve to show them how they need us to survive. Mustn't lose your hope, daughter. Play your part to the end. This is what we do. We pretend. Tell us another joke, Warshawski, keep us entertained. Make it about the Jews, Warshawski, try not to look so pained. Oh, so, no, this little boy comes home from school and he says, Mom, I just got a part in the school play. And the mother says, Mazel tov, what part do you play? And the little boy says, oh, I play the part of the Jewish husband. And the mother frowns. And she says, you go back there and tell them you want a speaking part. No, wait. No, I've got 1 million of them. One for every man, woman, and child in this ghetto. Enough of your jokes, Warshawski. I'm no longer in the mood. I'll take your family, wall you in, and keep out all the food. But if I could be Al Jolson in New York, where they don't ask Why's that Jew there singing, Mammy? I'd be safe behind my mask. Or if I could be Houdini and devise some great escape, loose my family from these shackles, spare us each and every scrape. You're no Johnson or Houdini, soon to be forgotten Jew. They won't know the name Warshawski. There will be no trace of you. I am not a hero, I'm a man. Just surviving is my only goal. I didn't ask to be there, Moses. I didn't want to play this role. I wrote a play to give them hope. Remind them all they still can't feel. So we might sit here in the darkness and know that love can still be real. And thus I joke, therefore I am. That's all I've ever known to do. For if you laugh, therefore you live and pray. The last laugh's not on you. Your loved captain, it's got singing and dancing, and all the Jews die in the end. All the Jews die. All the Jews. All. Now my daughter, now my sister, friends and family, one and all. If you ask me where we're going, I can hear my heroes call. Just like Jolson and Houdini, I will not give up the fight. We'll resist them to the end and rage against this long dark night.
Warshawski! Your time is up.
Daniel!
Places, please, for Act 2.
Oh.
Tamar.
You should have killed me last night. Do it now.
How can I kill the woman I love?
How can I love the man I should hate? The Roman general who's going to slaughter us all.
I offered mercy. A chance to surrender. Well, now it's too late. Caesar wants blood either from me or Eleazar.
Eleazar?
General Silva!
Hide. I didn't send for you, Rufus.
Well, I'm sorry to barge in, but there was no one to announce me.
And whose fault is that?
Right. He's in prison praying to Jesus.
I don't have time for this. Why are you here?
I thought it would be good for morale to crucify the Jewish rebel before the battle.
Not Aaron, no!
Wait! Wait.
Well, well. Wait till Caesar hears about this.
What? That he won't have to pay the cost of a bloody battle. That is why General Silva agreed to meet me in private. To negotiate a meeting with my father, Elazar.
Your father?
Yes. It's our only hope. Will you meet him tonight at sunset?
If I agree to this meeting, will he?
Yes. If you call off this crucifixion.
Call it off? Yes. You will spare the rebels.
But General!
I answer to Caesar! You answer to me!
Do you mind?
Sorry?
The whistling.
Sorry.
I'm just a little...
Tense.
Yes.
I understand.
Do you? You have a wife and son you'll never see again.
Believe me, if I could swap places with you, I would.
Why? You they're taking to Rome. Me, they're going to crucify. Please. Just a sip. Yeah, please. Please, just... Oh. Maybe I'll be lucky and die of thirst.
Do you know what your problem is? When you look at that bucket, you see it as half empty. When I look at it...
You're not Jewish, are you?
How did you guess?
Far too cheerful.
Well, I didn't start out that way. Believe me, my life has been one long spiritual road. Mostly unpaved, with lots of potholes. I've prayed to mighty Jupiter. Turns out that he's no Zeus. And Hades ran so hot and cold, I had to cut him loose. Aphrodite was too flighty. Eros left me unfulfilled. Adonis was Narcissus with a slightly better build. I found Apollo hard to follow, Poseidon much too deep. I sat in front of Hypnos and he put me right to... But it wasn't till this menial found someone Nazarenial that I finally found some faith and took that leap. And while you've got your Old Testament and mine's a little new, what's a Christian but a follower who used to be a Jew? Well, you. So to get God to spare the rod, now please don't laugh. How about I send a little prayer on your behalf?
No, wait a minute. You're a Christian. How can you pray to my God?
Well, it's the same God.
Yeah, but your version has a different ending.
All right, why quibble? I'll try it your way. Jewish style. Don't mind me. I know you're busy. I'm no one special. I won't be long. Don't mind me. You've got your problems. I wouldn't ask you. But what's so wrong? See my friend here? He's a husband and a father like you don't know. If you let him live, I swear I'll let you go. How am I doing?
I should do so well.
You and me, so much in common.
One big exception,
but only one. Such a boy, God take the credit. He's such a comfort, your only son. So I thought you as a father, might see my friend here with a father's eyes. And remember how it feels when the dream you live for dies. days. He's got a wife. I've got a wife. He's got a son. It's for my son. So spare his life. Please spare my life. Thy will be done. I will. Wait. What? Oops, different prayer. But if you're there, a way you'll find. And one last thing from me to you. If you help me, how about him too? God, hear our plea, and please don't mind. Oh, don't mind me. Oh, it's been very nice talking with you. Say something. Amen.
Silver meets with Eleazar at sundown. If the rebels surrender, there will be no massacre tomorrow. Did our brothers die in this desert so that our general could love a Jew? So they could breed and multiply? I say it takes sacrifice to be a Roman. And we have everything we need. Wood, nails, and a Jewish prison. Let each miserable Jew be a warning to you of the task still ahead and the challenge we face. Such work can be done lest the world's overrun by this lowly inferior race. We must exterminate all of this vermin before they outnumber us all. Kill them. They're the diseased General Silver appeases, thus dooming our empire to fall. But I've got some news for these arrogant Jews. Now the writing is on their wall. Writing is on the wall. Silver's groveling and conceding. He's a leader who's not leading. While the rebels hand us losses upon losses, he is faltering while we're fighting. So we can't ignore the writing. Try to hang each rebel high on wooden crosses.
My friends, this is no longer just a play. The rebels on Masada have the same choice that we do, to save their lives or make them count for something.
We are going to Switzerland.
But our audience isn't Sarah, and they are not going to some beautiful labor camp. We have to warn them.
Warn them?
On stage.
It would be like committing suicide.
The way the rebels chose to die sent a message to Rome. We can send the same message to Berlin.
We are not characters in your play.
No, this is about us as people. I have a plan. Everything is ready.
You have no right to take our lives into your hands.
I know. So at the end of the play, after the rebels lie dead on Masada, if you are with me, stand up and be heard.
And if one of us, just one of us, does not stand up,
then I won't do anything. And we will all live with that choice.
Writing is on the wall. Now as we're faced with impossible choices, we'll write on the wall of their fate. We must decide who we are, what we're made of, and act now before it's too late. Never say die, let the rebels all die. Now the writing is on. We must answer our empire's call. Now the writing is on the wall.
crucified Aaron!
Father! I don't understand. Silver said he'd spare Aaron. You've got to believe me. Father, don't you have anything to say?
The prayer for the dead.
Magnified and sanctified be his great name.
Is it true the rebel was crucified?
Yes, General.
You knew I wanted him spared!
Yes, General.
And yet you disobeyed my order!
No, General! I knew nothing of the matter until it was too late.
If you're not to blame, who is?
I shall conduct an immediate inquiry.
Pompey!
What? How did this happen?
Fortunately, your men couldn't tell us apart. General, will you please spare the rebel?
Do it!
Thank you.
You sacrificed your life for his?
He had more to lose than me.
Oh, my friend.
I will meet your Roman general.
Thank you, Father. I see your face, and I surrender, held captive by the view, my world forever shaken.
I touch your hand and I surrender and give myself to you, so willing to be taken.
The sacred fortress of your love is home to me, for only locked inside your arms can I be free. You draw me near and my defenses grow weak and come apart, too helpless to resist you.
Though I fear I've lost my senses, I know I found my heart the moment I first kissed you. You are the air I breathe, the light that floods my sky. So let me drown in your embrace, or I will die. With only clouds to make a canopy above you, and with no ring beyond the circle of the sun. Yet with a kiss I pledge to have and hold and love you. Just as you are my one.
General Silva, I always dreamed Tamar would find love, but not in the arms of my enemy.
Now our dreams are one, Eleazar. Tamar has found love in the arms of your friend.
Pretty words.
Not just words. Tomorrow, if you surrender, I will call off the attack and protect everyone on Masada.
Believe him, Father,
Why should I believe?
because I love him. With every breath I now surrender to
How
this
could you
eternal
defy
bond.
me,
Our
my
place will
sweet
love
child,
Lord.
so strong and warm?
Will I surrender and see your soul?
I deny the light.
And once again adore
in
you.
both your eyes.
So as the dream when
as
you
your
becomes the path we know.
every care's my heart surrenders to this dream come true.
You are my love and I surrender.
Oh, my love to you.
Traitor!
Rufus!
It's a trap!
No, I swear to you!
Flavius Silver! In the name of Caesar, I arrest you for consorting with the enemy!
Eleazar!
Kill them!
You saved my life. And my thanks. But for every man like you in Rome, there are 10,000 more like Rufus. You can spare our lives, but there is only one place where we can be truly free.
Do you really love freedom more than your life?
You will have my answer at sunrise. Are you coming?
Tomorrow.
It is time to choose.
Far from here, you'd be my oasis. I would be your dove. Far from here, far from now, we will run, we will flee, and somehow we'll be free.
And as the Lord once delivered us from Egypt, and as before with the parting of the sea, He will provide and bring us manna in the desert. He will return and set us free.
Who's that for?
Every year, we pour a cup of wine for Elijah at Passover,
Who's Elijah?
the prophet of peace.
He didn't come last year or the year before.
But we never stop hoping.
Eleazar.
Where's Tamar?
My beloved friends, at sunrise, the battering ram will be at our gates. Our weapons are no match for theirs. If we fight, it will be a fight to the death. If we surrender, General Silva has agreed to call off the attack.
You'll spare our lives?
Yes.
Thanks be to God! We're saved! Yes, our prayers
Please,
have
let
been
me
answered.
finish. Please. He can spare our lives. But he can't prevent Rome from slaughtering the rest of our people.
At least
We will live to see another day.
You call that living? Don't you see? In Rome, we will be the last of a dying race. We will only survive to serve them as slaves. Our women will become their chattel. And our children will grow up to forget this land we love so much.
What choice do we have? At least they'll grow up.
Every day my son lives is a blessing.
Not when life has no meaning.
Our son is meaning enough.
Imagine he was yours. Look at him. Look at him. And please tell me what you would do if he was your son.
I would say, son, in a better world, children outlive their parents. I would live on through you, as you would through your children. But who will mourn when we are gone? No one. Let us be remembered for what we sacrificed on this mountain, and for the price we had to pay to tell our story. Let us stand together by dying together here.
Haven of the desert, you are home and fortress, you are sword and shield. Masada, high above the misery, let us drink her waters, let our wounds be healed.
Remember how we strode in sunlight, breathing in her beauty and her open air.
Remember, and she won't forsake you, where the winds may take you, she will still be there.
To live when everything worth living for they've taken. This is not life. Our broken bodies empty of their souls. We can't go back. The only path to freedom lies before us. Don't look behind. In death may we find our lives again.
To weep no more, no more to live. Our battered feet no more beneath the tyrant's heel. One road, one choice, right freedom or never stay. One chance to honor all the blessings that you gave.
Tamar! Open the gates, or I will have to break them down!
Masada, of a people's struggle, of a captive's face.
Succumb forever to your free embrace. Messiah, by a step from heaven, they will know a triumph, even as we die.
Maybe you can save Rebecca. Hide!
Let me be with my family! Leon!
Captain Blake, I beg you! On your knees! Kill me! Kill me, not him! Kill me!
Here, please, I just want my sister.
You made your choice, Khrushchevsky.
Come along and ride, I'll be your guide, your safe
inside my arm. Till your fear has passed, just hold me fast. You'll never come to harm. And before it ends, unlikely friends will have lived to sing aloud. High above the ground, just as once we found our way.
Come on, Rebecca. We've got to get out of here. Rebecca, come on!
It's too late.
No. We're alive.
What does that matter when they killed my papa?
We have a gun. We have a chance to escape under the wall.
Escape? You know what's waiting for us out there.
No.
My family is gone.
Rebecca, no! If you're not here, who will remember them? Imagine a place where all of us are free.
Stop it.
The place your soul is meant to be.
It's too late.
Where hope springs into being.
It's a lie.
For believing is seeing.
Don't believe.
And you're part of all you see.
To see.
Imagine you decide what's true. Watch a sky of ash turn blue.
And the dream that's before you will release and restore you to a place that's safe and new.
And in the book of memories, the past lives on in tales like these. How we chose standing upright to remain standing upright.
Not to live life on our knees.
Imagine this, love and love is all you know. Imagine hard enough and soon it will be so. When life is more than what you see, imagine and you'll be where visions of a war will haunt our dreams no more, and stars are overhead, not symbols of our dread. No more silence of trumpets, Roman candles, not gunshots, no more aching or crying or darkness or dying. Imagine in 1,000 years. Imagine a world was free, not blood and tears. Imagine all the fear is gone. Imagine freedom living on you on in bliss when you imagine.
Hi, I'm Neil Gabler, and I'm your host for the intermissions during this special broadcast of the London musical Imagine This. And I'm here in the Museum of Jewish Heritage in New York City with the novelist, essayist, and Jewish scholar Thane Rosenbaum, with Timothy Sheeter, who directed the stage production of Imagine This, with Peter Polycarpou, the star of the show, Sarah Ingram, who plays Naomi and Sarah, as well as Roy Litvin, another cast member, who rounds out our panel. And we've invited a group of guests who've just seen a tape of the show to join us in a discussion of Imagine This and of the relationship between art and the Holocaust. And now we're going to open the discussion to some questions from our audience.
Several of you have discussed this evening that what spoke to you about Imagine This was the fact that so many of the characters had to make decisions. I think there's also an opportunity to discuss values, which I think we haven't quite gotten to yet this evening. I think this work is a wonderful vehicle for discussion relating to the question of values. Suicide is against Jewish law. This is a group that opted for suicide. So what is the real morality? In your opinion, do you feel the morality was that they should commit a mass suicide in order not to continue to be enslaved? Or is the morality the need to continue to survive so that A, they can tell their story, and B, possibly survive to make a difference in this world?
Thane, may I give you that question? You're our Jewish scholar here, officially.
Well, it's important to remember that in the play, the musical Imagine This, the character's final scene, they don't actually commit suicide. They essentially commit suicide because we know what's happening next for them. They will be sent to Treblinka or another one of the death camps. But the point here, the larger question of values, is one of resistance, that this is a kind of spiritual resistance to stand up to the Nazis by way of speaking through their art and also speaking through the purpose of ending their lives on their own terms. And by invoking the memory of Masada, it's really invoking the spirit and the memory of the early Jewish zealots that refused to be enslaved and wanted to send a strong message of resistance.
Yeah, Peter, when we were talking earlier, one of the things that you said that interested me was that you engaged this play largely because of the moral issues that it raised, and not just because it was a Holocaust play, but that it was a play about morality. Do you want to address that?
Yeah, I do think that, in a sense, as an actor, but playing an actor as well, it was important for me because it asked certain questions of me as a person, and it asked the question fundamentally, how do I want to live my life? That's what Daniel is asking himself almost entirely throughout the whole course of the evening. He's saying, how do I want to address what's happened immediately to me, to my family tonight in this instance? How am I going to choose to face my ancestors if the play that I'm choosing to put on I'm not true to the people whose ancestry I'm relating to? If I can't actually have my own integrity and answer my own questions like that and be truthful to myself and truthful to the people whose lives I am representing. He chose to put on Masada as a moral play, if you like, as a political statement. And so what happens during the course of putting on this play and rehearsing this play is that he's asking his actors to think about the lives of the people on Masada, to think about what they did, what they went through, and to follow through. He's asking them essentially to face the question that they faced when the Romans were at the door, and the Romans, the Nazis, obviously, and that they have to, as an acting company and as a family, face what happens when their lives are challenged in that fundamental way.
The moral issue is self-definition throughout the play.
Who am I? Yes, exactly.
Who defines me?
Yes.
If I don't define myself,
what action defines me as a person? And so that's why it was an important question for me as an actor, as well as finding the strength of the character, finding out who. And we talked a little bit briefly about the sort of research that I did, and for me, understanding who, what the people of Warsaw went through helped me to understand the sort of person that Daniel may have been.
It's funny because, Sarah, your character, at some points in the play, is the one who's most ready to give in. Oh, they're going to give us passage to Zurich? Let's do it. You know, as you played that character, were you at odds with her desires, or what was your feeling about her choices?
Well, it's interesting. You have to, no matter what, even if you're playing the villain, you have to love your character. You have to find something that you relate to and you understand. Otherwise, you can't take that character within the story on the journey it needs to go on. I mean, that's just my basic premise. However, for me, I think the part of Sarah, she's there purely to be the conscience of Daniel, to question him every step of the way. She loves her brother passionately, respects him passionately, but thinks he is foolhardy. She's the antithesis of his imagination. She's the sensible one, to a certain extent. She has that grounding, and so therefore, what was interesting to me on the journey that Sarah was on was the fact that she did question him at every opportunity. She did hold him up, because she holds him to a higher standard, and therefore his responses need to be that.
But she holds him to a higher standard than she holds herself throughout the play.
You think?
I do.
Okay, interesting. My standards are pretty high. But yes, except she needs to know that he's doing it for the right reason. That's why she asks the questions. She needs to know he's doing it for the right reason. And then at the very end, when she decides to do what she does, it is because she has thought about it and followed it and realizes that Daniel is a cut above. He is the hero that we all strive to be. She's not. She's practical. But he is, and of everybody within that company, for him to be able to take Sarah on that journey is a seriously mean feat. And so that was my arc.
You know, Roy, you not only had a grandmother who was a survivor, but you also had a grandfather, whom your grandmother married and met shortly after the war, who was a resistance fighter. So apropos of this question, is suicide a form of resistance? When you come from a family of survivors and resistance fighters, how did you work that through in your own mind when you were working on the play?
For me, one of the main themes, I think it was about choices, isn't it? It's about what choices they make, you know, during some of the sort of darkest times. And I think that sort of, you know, Daniel's choice, you know, was a heroic choice.
But not a choice that your family made.
You know, in my grand story, many of the choices that she made were very heroic choices. And, you know, I looked up in a dictionary the meaning of hero, and a hero is someone willing to sacrifice himself for a greater cause. And although my family didn't make that choice, you know, we have other stories in our families of people who did. And I think when I read the script, one of the things that struck me about Imagine This was that it was about these people willing to make this amazingly courageous choice during this dark time. That's what attracted me to the show. And
yeah, Timothy, this play is both a survival play and a resistance play. But those two things are not always compatible. And now, how did you work that through when you were working on the play? Because you were the one who had to make kind of creative sense out of this tension.
Physical survival and resistance are not compatible in this play, but survival in terms of the memory and their legacy and resistance are completely compatible. It's a very interesting question. This relationship grew massively during the creation of the piece.
Now you're talking about the relationship
between
Sarah
and Daniel.
Brother and sister.
Brother and sister. That Sarah's part, the voice of Sarah grew in rehearsal as a credible, rational counterpoint to Daniel's aspirational intentions, that this pragmatic, practical woman, she doesn't say this line, you can't save the world, but you can save your children. Someone else says it, but that's kind of the essence of her character. And that was very important that everything that he stands for was questioned, so that the steps he makes forward are so momentous and not made by very many people. The other thing that arrived in rehearsal, which is equally important, was his soliloquy at the top of part 2, which wasn't there when we started rehearsing. That was written during rehearsal, which was incredibly important to me, that we saw the inner voice of this man. I am not a hero, I'm a man. Just surviving was my only goal. And that we see that this man, we, as an audience, we don't believe that. From the beginning, he's been kind of set aside as this man with heroic tendencies or qualities or aspirational qualities or a man of great integrity. But to suddenly to see his inner, to see his obstacle, to see for everyone to literally freeze as they do in the way we staged it, and for us to zoom into this man's brain and see that he questions himself what everybody else is questioning, was a really important moment for us, and that by the end of it, like a Shakespearean soliloquy, he has made a decision, and his decision is to move forward with what he's planned to do. And that's terribly important to me, and the survival resistance thing as well. You know, to me, the greatest play ever written in the 20th century is The Crucible, and survival and resistance are not compatible in that play either, as we trace that man's journey.
But survival and resistance is ultimately futile and enfeeble in Imagine This. The participants, the players of this theater company neither survive, and they resist only in a spiritual sense by continuing their art and feeling ennobled by feeling vital as artists. I joked about this earlier when we talked about the relationship between the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising and what we can call now, with Imagine This, the Warsaw Ghetto Theater Uprising. It's the relationship between people, fighters during, was it 1943, during Passover, where for 3 weeks the Jews held up the Nazis for 3 weeks. Of course, all of them essentially were killed. And that fight was done by way of guns and Molotov cocktails.
Some committing suicide.
And some committing suicide. But again, in this play, they neither survive ultimately as well, because by going forward with their resistance, which is the resistance not of guns, but of stagecraft and makeup, it's a very different kind of resistance, they ultimately do have the same end as the zealots on Masada.
Yes, but that was their weapon, wasn't it? They didn't have guns, they didn't have any other form of resistance. That was what they knew, that's what they took forward with them. It was their art. That was the way that they could choose to resist.
But they also resist in a very practical way.
They do
They write
resist.
on a cloth, "Do not get on the train." They're given a piece of information that the rest of the...
And it was for the audience.
It's not suicide, it's sacrifice. They're actually sacrificing themselves
you
with a
think-
message. They sacrifice themselves for this to save, even if they save 2 people, there will be. They have that information, they have to pass it on. That is the choice.
Is this then a play of martyrdom and not suicide? Because the ultimate act is one of memory and act of warning and caution?
Well, it's a very emotive word, martyrdom, isn't it? I mean, it has all sorts of connotations.
Well,
but
the zealots
I don't
certainly
think-
were deemed martyrs for their
I'm not
cause.
sure, yeah, but I'm not sure it's the right word or not. But certainly, it's a noble act, and I don't care how that sounds. You know, for me, what they choose to do is an act of courage. Yes, it's sacrifice, but it's an act of courage.
Well, it's act of self-definition, because
exactly.
The matter of sacrifice is a curious question here, because presumably even the people who they warn not to get on the trains are ultimately going to get on the trains.
Yes.
And they're ultimately all going to be killed.
We know that.
So really what it is a statement of self-definition, saying you tell us not to tell them, you know, not to get on the trains, and guess what? We're going to do it.
Except that's an opinion in hindsight. Because we don't know that they are going to get on the trains.
Well, you know through
we don't
Masada.
know.
Because Masada informs...
And that's what they're trying to be true to, Neil. They're trying to be true to the people of Masada. And that's what Daniel is trying to impress upon his acting troupe.
To send a message.
This was the first, let's not forget, this was in the story, this is the first transportation to
Yeah.
Treblinka. The trains were not common knowledge
And
in
also,
this story.
And
So
also the
some people-
Holocaust wasn't common knowledge then as well. It wasn't, I mean, people weren't they? They were coming back from places like Auschwitz. They were coming back to the Warsaw Ghetto. They were saying what had happened. No one was believing them.
Let me pick up on something that Thame was addressing here and that we had a discussion about earlier, and that is, I mean, one could make the claim, and I would make it, that this is not a play about the Holocaust. I mean, the Holocaust is in the play.
Agreed.
But it's not about the Holocaust. In some respects, this is really a play about art, about the functions of art. Let me ask you, Timothy, do you agree with me or disagree with me?
To some extent, I agree with you, yes. The Holocaust is the context, it is the location, it's the setting, it's the catalyst. It's a play about how art can inspire us, influence us, change us, direct us. But it's also, as we're talking about, a play about integrity and a play about throw a set of human beings to the edge of a terrible precipice and see and hold a gun to their heads and see what decisions they make, how they make decisions. All great art is people on a precipice about to jump. And are they going to jump and pull a parachute and save themselves, or are they going to jump and
And the
dive?
act of putting on Imagine This is also stretching the boundaries of what many people will say, you know, is this, you know, art doing this sort of subject with having that the Holocaust as a background, and in the act of doing the musical Imagine This, I think many people have asked that, and I would say as an artist, as an actor, that you have to stretch the envelope. You have to an art, you shouldn't have a taboo of that sort. I think that everything that you see around you and every experience that you have, you know, kind of, for me, draws, you draw on everything around you, and if you can't in some way draw on things that have happened in the past that you know, you want to challenge, then you set yourself limits as an artist, I think.
We talked earlier amongst ourselves about the film Life is Beautiful, Roberto Benigni, which is a film that also kind of takes one of the elements of this play, the opening element, that you can imagine your way out of the Holocaust, and everybody loved that movie.
Life is Beautiful, again, carries forth this idea that art transcends all physical limitations, the romanticism of the art, which, you know, I don't know, I'm surrounded by so many artists here today, because it does have this very sanguine idea that art conquers all, art is the ultimate cure. But unlike Life is Beautiful, Imagine This is not transgressive. Life is Beautiful attempts to make a concentration camp into like a summer camp. Right. It turns mass murder into a childhood game in order to win a tank at the end. What I do admire very much about Imagine This is that it takes the Holocaust very seriously as something that is lethal and threatening, and that the horror that exists outside of the ghetto and outside of this train station is life-ending, not life-affirming. Life is Beautiful, its title tells you that life is life-affirming. And no film should ever be made about the Holocaust that's life-affirming. And Imagine This doesn't do that. Imagine This takes the Holocaust quite seriously.
Imagine This also, in my estimation, and I'd love to hear you address this, is it goes through kind of three permutations in the course of the play about art. I mean, the first is, imagine this. You know, you can escape from this ghetto. Just imagine that you're going to escape, and we'll put on the show, and it will transport you from it. Then it becomes, the play and the art becomes an act of resistance. Now, by putting on the play, we're not going to transport you away from what's happening here. We're going to fight it. Yes. And at the very end of the play, it becomes, art that is, becomes an act of survival. Only by putting on the play, this, in my estimation, by the way, makes the play somewhat postmodernist. It's a play about itself. Yes. It's a play that says, because we're talking about the Holocaust, now we're justifying what we say at the end of the play, which is, only by surviving and telling this story can we justify anything we do with art here. And I'd love to hear your, let me start with you, Timothy, because these are the kinds of things I'm sure that you've wrestled with as you were
First thing, you know, we're using this word art and artists and art and the Holocaust. When Marty Schoen wrote Ghetto, that premiered at the National Theatre, I certainly looked at the journalism that surrounded it subsequently, and I don't remember any of this conversation about a play. So suddenly with a piece of musical theatre, we're actually having this debate, which kind of says something about where we place musical theatre as an art form in Britain, which is significantly lower down the pecking order than you do in America. And that's very sad to me. Secondly, I don't know if this is directly answering your question, but you know, during our research, as Thane has pointed out, this isn't made up, this putting a play on in the middle of the Warsaw Ghetto. That's what happened. As humanity is behaving in the most atrocious way, what man is doing to man is unbelievable. by holding on to art, suddenly man isn't an enemy, he's a brother. And reading, you know, there's the writer of the show introduced me to a book called Theatrical Performance in the Holocaust, which I'm sure you know, that, you know, we've read about people not only who putting plays on, but who would risk their lives to tell stories to each other, to read poetry to remember poetry, to write poetry, to steal materials to draw, to paint, to have some level to engage on some level of imagination that allowed them to stretch out and hold the hand of their brother. And to me, that justifies art dealing with the Holocaust.
Were there other things that you consulted? I was thinking particularly of Arthur Miller's Playing for Time. But were there other plays that you consulted that you thought, you know, might somehow inform this or change it or protect you or any of those things?
I saw that just before we went into production as well, which was very interesting. But the
Arthur Miller play.
Yeah, the Arthur Miller play. But yeah, we read stuff that was out there that was relevant to us, and it felt that we were on firm territory because it was because of the genre. We couldn't find, and apart from The Producers, which is a comedy, which is screwball, which is, as Thane said, then is not taken seriously, that we're not engaging with it on an intellectual level.
But in my research, I'm sure we looked at also we looked at other performances that were being done in the ghettos and other ghettos like Lotz as well, and there were a number of acting companies and the sort of works that they were putting on as well, and some of them were biblical and you could see some of the costumes that they and some of the stagecraft that they employed as well, and they were messages. They were kind of disguised messages through telling biblical tales, and that was fact. You know, they were putting on this work. So
well, one of the things we haven't addressed is we've talked so much about the ghetto that we haven't talked about Masada, which is actually most of the play, and it's kind of interesting that how does Masada survive? Well, it survives through things like Imagine This. It doesn't survive any other way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was wondering, one analog I thought for the musical is The Diary of Anne Frank. It strikes me as a very similar story. We have a young artist, a diarist, who she and her family are carrying on a domestic life in the claustrophobia of an attic, fully aware, as well as the audience, the premonition of death that exists outside of the attic, and yet they're carrying on their lives, engaged in real human struggles, real moral struggles with each other. And here, too, the concealment within the ghetto and then within the theater company, within the ghetto itself, you have a family with their relatives and other friends who are engaged in the domestic life in an extraordinary circumstance, trying to somehow survive, and yet at the same time remain human. And oddly enough, neither Anne nor the people in our play survived.
But it's interesting because the more research you do in many of the books that most of us read, I mean, it was a library at rehearsals. Books were being swapped left, right, and centre. But actually, that was most people's story. Everybody. I mean, the basic premise for good drama, good art, is ordinary people in an extraordinary situation. Because if you put extraordinary people in an extraordinary situation, it's chaos. And ordinary, it's coma. So,
or soap opera.
Or soap opera. But that's, if you read any of the accounts from any of the ghettos, that's what most people were desperately trying to cling on to, some sense of normality. So, all right, so our lives have been confined to the miles that we are now in. We're sharing a room with 12 other people that we didn't know until yesterday morning. In the meantime, we will lay the table for dinner. Because that is what humans do. You cling on to what you know. And so that's why this piece is as strong as it is, and that's why the ghetto section, and in fact, with the same with Masada, they cling on to what they know. They harvest. They live their lives. Their children grow up. That's what human nature does.
But the Art Spiegelman idea in Maus is that living is resistance. But in this play, ultimately, death becomes resistance. So it in some ways is a kind of reversal of so much of what we've had in Holocaust literature, that if I can just keep on going, I beat the Nazis.
And if you don't keep on going, you have no way to tell your story. I mean, the idea of the storytelling dimension, that's why survival is the ultimate act of resistance.
I think
surely that's the definition
but
of
that's
war.
in the play. Rebecca and Adam
are the ones who survive and will go on to tell the story, which is why I say it's about art as remembrance.
Right.
In the final analysis, in my estimation, this is a play finally about the triumph of art as a form of remembrance, because again, nobody remembers Masada or the Warsaw Ghetto if someone isn't there to talk about it.
No, it's very interesting about what you say about no one remembers Masada. Even the characters in the play don't. They're kind of, why are we doing this? What is it? Who cares about these people on a mountain? And it takes Daniel to explain what it might represent as a metaphor.
This debate leads me to pose a broader question. Is the story of Imagine This as much about the present as it is about the past?
Timothy, when you were sitting down with this material, were you thinking of this as a contemporary story or a historical take on a contemporary issue?
I think as a director, or also as a writer, but certainly as a director, you have to ask in your interpretation, as you're creating your vision, who am I talking to? Where am I going to be telling this story, and when? And if it's not relevant to now, it's a historical piece. It's interesting. It's diverting. But we all want to work on something that touches the nerve and pulse of our time. That's what we want to do as engaged artists. So it was a very relevant. It's a very relevant question as it was relevant to us, and I think it is about as much about now as, or to some degree, it's about it has a complete contemporary relevance for what we've been talking about in terms of we might not be in the same situation. God forbid any of us ever will be, but we can, by analogy, watch this play and think, how would I behave in that situation? How might I behave in that situation tomorrow to a much lesser degree when I'm faced with a similar issue between personal gratification and a greater, more public good, possibly.
Did you think of literal analogies when you were sitting down and saying, the Warsaw Ghetto is a lot like?
We talked at one stage about it being incredibly, the beginning being incredibly contemporary. We talked about television screens and seeing what was going on around the world and what was happening in America, what America was doing with other countries. And without wishing to kind of take it back to Arthur Miller, but Arthur Miller chose to write about his contemporary times by being very specific about another time and telling that story and leaving
You're talking about the Crucible.
The Crucible, yeah, and leaving the audience to make those leaps themselves. That if we think we're being told a story, we lean forward. If we think we're being lectured to, we kind of switch off. So also, if you're dealing with an issue or a subject, or you have something to say, if you do it through characters that exist in a story or a time frame or an era that's different to ours, it's just more engaging.
The Holocaust does have its particularity, at least with respect to genocides, at least with respect to atrocities, so that when we speak so broadly, so casually, and saying, well, do you think that this applies to today? The question is, if it applies at all, it has to apply to the people who are in Darfur, who are people in the Congo. It has to apply to them. It can't just apply to people in ordinary domestic situations, because then it's misapplying an atrocity for something that simply is in no way analogous to
Unless
the
the Holocaust is backdrop for a meditation on the role of art and how art can function to keep memory alive.
Well, and that ultimately is the debate of Imagine This, the permissibility of taking the Imagine This title and having the Holocaust function as a subtext within this larger question of the power of the imagination to transport people even out of their horrifying present circumstances, even though they ultimately end up in the same place.
Roman Holter survived lots. He survived Dresden, survived Auschwitz, wrote a very moving account of how he got through it all. And one of the most interesting quotes in it that I can remember to pick up on that point that he said was he was hidden by a German family, and after the war the Gestapo came round just after the war, rather. The Gestapo came round and all the family was shot apart from the mother. And Roman Horta said, he asked her, why did you hide us? Why did you save us? And she said she thought it was the right thing to do, and it was the just thing to do, to hide you, and it saved their lives. And Roman Horta said, he asked himself the question, would I have done that? If I was in that situation, how would I have reacted to that? After having been through all of that, he still had to ask that question. So yes, I do think it's just as relevant today as because asking yourself the question, the choices that you might make in a similar situation, or a situation where you have to make a life and death decision, maybe not about catching the tube or the subway or whatever it is, but about how you would morally stand up to answer yourself and your conscience. And that's what, I think it's still as relevant today.
I disagree with you. I think I agree with Peter. I think it's I'm inspired
naturally. Natural. Here's a surprise.
Actor and director always sticking together.
and I hope we continue to, because it's.
But I'm inspired by knowing about the tragedy that's happened to the 6 million people. I will use the tube as an example. If there is a fight on a tube or a London bus, which we see regularly, I don't know whether you do in New York or not, but the choice to stay quiet or get off the bus and save yourself or get involved, it's almost a daily occurrence that we read in the newspaper that someone has been stabbed to death because they got involved in a fight and they engaged in the public
But it so trivializes the enormity of what you're talking about. It's such a larger scope and landscape of horror. The question of what one would do. One can't ask that question, what might I have done in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising?
How does that, because I can't place myself in the Holocaust. I can only exist in the circumstances that I exist in. They're part of, I'm not Jewish, but I'm a human being, and they're part of my heritage. All those people that died are part of what makes my heritage as a human being and how I engage with you and everybody else here. Equally, all those people that behaved badly and killed them, they're also part of my heritage.
But the presumption that you could imagine what you might do in a circumstance that is utterly unimaginable is the ultimate of presumption.
But I'm not saying that there's... Why is it? So as opposed to just putting them, as opposed to saying that existed and it's in a vacuum and...
Because it's in a vacuum of another world.
Well, the issue is whether the moral engine of the Holocaust is in some ways different from, in fact separate from, the moral engine of everyday life.
It's the moral engine on crack. It's of a higher level of absurdity, a higher level of application. It can't be analogized to ordinary domestic situations. It ultimately trivializes the event itself.
So what? It's a historical event, and it remains, and we respect the people that died.
Can I come in with something? It's a bit like saying, what my grandmother went through. I said this 99%, but she had 1% of living, and she clung on to that, and she went through just undescribable thing. I've used that in my daily life, that 1%. Even when I go to. When I'm in really difficult situations, now I can't imagine what she went through, but I use that analogy that she used. So I have kind of used it in my everyday life. That 1%, I should never give up. I should always go for what I want. I should follow my dreams. And she went through unspeakable things. So that kind of moved through the generations to me. So I do think that it is fluid, and I'm not trying to compare it.
It may not be entirely analogous to it, but it does help you to understand who you are as a person, to ask yourself questions about what may I have done under duress, what may I do given a situation where I have to make a crucial decision. I think it's interesting offering up those questions.
But
to
everyone
under
that level of speculation, everybody probably concludes, I would rescue.
No, they don't.
No. It's so absurdly, it's such an absurd...
That's absurd.
I often think, I do imagine myself, when I was a little boy, my grandmother used to suffer from great nightmares. She used to wake up and dream that the Nazis would take me away. And I do imagine a lot. One of our family members, my gran and her sister chose to survive. Another sister chose to commit suicide on the barbed wire. And people did make different choices. And I often think, how would I have reacted in that situation? And I don't know whether I would have been strong enough. I think I would have probably died sooner, I wouldn't have had the courage that my gran had. I
Well,
think I would have given up.
Let me thank the audience member for that provocative question.
Way to tee us up.
Interestingly enough, then, in 2,000 years, will someone be doing a play within a play about the Warsaw Ghetto?
That's a very interesting question, and probably one on which we might end this discussion. I want to thank all of you for joining us. Timothy Sheeter, the director of the play Imagine This, Thane Rosenbaum, Jewish scholar, Peter Polycarpou, the star of the play, Sarah Ingram, who appears in the play as Sarah Naomi, and Roy Litvin, who is in the ensemble of Imagine This. And I want to thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Hail Caesar!
Hail Caesar! Welcome back to Rome, General Silva. Sit down, relax, have a grape. And you can have Salome too. Dance, you temptress, dance. Show him what you can do.
On the day my mother bore me, she ensured all men adore me by providing me a name I rue each day. Neither nurture, no, nor nature sets a course like nomenclature. Mothers, please don't name your daughters Salome. My name, like me, tells a dark history of a princess who was no virgin, one whose hip held the king in her grip. With a veil she would strip away. Her dance of shame left a blot on my name, and the squalor I now submerge in. I was claimed by the men I inflamed, being named after Salome.
Salome, don't you dare give away that you find all they say and do unsavory, so flash your smile as you think all the while
that what they call a dance to you is slavery.
So thus trapped you are forced to adapt.
Either die or ignite man's urging. I'd feel shamed, but how can I be blamed when I'm named after Salome?
What a beautiful name! If you'd been plain or been wise, would you have a different fate?
What a beautiful phrase!
Evading you with every breath you want them dead.
She's constructed for sin.
They never look into your eyes, and so they never see the hate.
She is bound to give in.
So judge me harshly if you choose, but were you in my shoes,
you wouldn't want to lose your head.
To pay, for I was made after Salome.
Yourself by the flame of the dame who is named after Salome.
Who's there?
Oh! Ow! 1,000 pardons, mighty general. They don't feed us much around here. Starving the slaves keeps us too weak to revolt. Look, I'll put them back.
You were listening.
Me? No, I'm too hungry to listen.
I will teach you to spy on a Roman general.
Please, mighty general, you should be killing really important people, not insignificant little nobodies like me. And believe me, I'm a nobody. From a tiny little town at the foot of a boring old volcano, Vesuvius, nobody's ever heard of it. And my town, nothing ever happens in Pompeii. It's completely dead.
Good. You'll feel right at home.
This is it, the bitter ending. Do it quickly, make it brief. Don't prolong the mortal terror that's advancing. Just a moment. What's this feeling? Could this feeling be relief? You say prepare to die, and now I feel like dancing. No more the beating, no more mistreating, no more relentless dread. Won't feel the hunger, won't know the sorrow, won't wish that I was dead. And yet I never had a son. A wife and daughter would be fun. And I can't shake this sneaking feeling that I could have been someone. If I just had a little time to make a difference, I'd be a citizen who's second class to none. No more enslavement, face on the pavement, sweating until I drop. Whipping and weeping, working and whining, it will feel good to stop. And yet cool water on my tongue, the scent of grass when spring has sprung, and that sound of children laughing, 'cause for them the world is young. It's the little things that make a life worth living. Strange how I never gave a thought to them before. And say I'm crazy, but part of me only wants to see what could someday be the meek somehow inheriting their share. The clouds will part and the sun will rise, and a brand new world will materialize. At least I think I heard that once somewhere. A world of birds and trees and flowers, another chance at love's first kiss. It could be years away or hours that I just can't miss. So give me another chance, please. I bet you hate Caesar even more than I do.
You want to get us both killed?
No, I've got a much better idea. Let's both live. And I, Pompey from Pompeii, will be your slave. The best armor polisher, poison wine tester, secret keeper, and hard-to-reach itch-scratcher you ever saw.
But no.
I'll follow you to the ends of the empire.
It's just where Caesar's sending me. To a miserable stretch of desert in Judea.
The Holy Land!
Only Christians call it that.
Oh, yes, but I met a Christian once, and he told me all about it, just before he was fed to the lions. So what do you say? Thumbs up? Or thumbs down? Please, sir, don't kill me. Good sir, oh, spare me. Please, may I live today. No more complaining, no more, it's draining. Thank you, I found my way. Why, till you're standing at death's door is life a never-ending chore. But just ring in that final curtain and you stop and shout, encore! Please take some pity on this poor, pathetic beggar who all too late in life decided to implore. It isn't less of life I'm begging for. No, I want more. Just a little more.